much for having me today. I really appreciate it. I see a lot of faces I know and some that I will know in the future on a beautiful day. I also thank you for taking a little risk, because this is a topic I've kind of put together over the last number of years, because yes, I'm a pizza maker, but I also love music, and I have often thought about a lot of the parallels between music and business leadership, and so I'm going to try it out on you today. And if it doesn't work, then I will refund the $1,000 speaking fee and the great travel and entertainment from last night. Thank you, Mike. It was wonderful last night. But I'll take you through. We'll have a little bit of fun, and then we'll open it up for questions after. Does that sound good? Yes. All right. So first, let's start with the video that we have.
And for one reason, I've always believed rock and roll musicians, the greatest rock and roll musicians are desperate men. You know, it's like you've got to have something bothering you all the time. Yeah. You can't always be a nice guy in the song, is what it is. You know, why songs are good is because it's like in art and in love. It's like, hey, 1 and 1 makes 3. And I said 1 and 1. It doesn't. Music, if it makes 2, you fail, my friends. You know, if you're painting and all you got is a paint and a canvas, you fail. If all you got your notes and you fail. You've got to find that third thing that you don't completely understand, but that is truly coming up from inside of you. And you can put it in you can set it any place, you can choose any type of character, but if you don't reach down and touch that thing, then you're just not going to have anything to say, and it's not going to feel like it has life and breath in it. You're not going to create something real, and it's not going to feel authentic.
Bruce Springsteen and Elvis Costello. Well, a few months back, I stumbled upon that video because I'm a hack songwriter and I'm interested in musicians and their points of view. And it happened to be just following an annual meeting that we have with our franchise partners, where we bring all of our franchise partners from around the country, their teams, our team, and we spend 3 days talking about the business and how we're going to drive the business, how we're going to grow the business, how we're going to drive our organizations. And what was interesting is I found, watching that video, is the very words that Bruce just used were the kinds of words that we spent a lot of time talking about in that meeting. We spent more time talking about how do we engage the organization, how do we move the organization, how do we connect with people, than we did about the actual topics at hand, about how to make pizzas or how to make them better or faster. So it's a topic about how do you move an organization, and you reach and drive an organization not by telling them what to do, but by moving them. And moving people in an organization is probably a bigger topic than ever today, and many books are published about, you know, the heart and soul of an organization. How do you create a we organization? How do you take people along? What is that missing piece? You know, and so it is deep and meaningful, and one of the most powerful forces that can move people's emotions or their thoughts or their feelings is music, right? I mean, think about music for a second, how deep it is, how vast it is. Coincidentally, I've researched this and found there's 300 million businesses in America today. There are 300 million songs on iTunes today. It is vast. And so how do we reach and move people like music does? That is the question that I pose. You know, and you look at just this past few days at the outpouring of emotion with the passing of a single musician. I mean, it's phenomenal. Isn't it amazing? I mean, I'm blown away by the kind of emotion. Well, why is that? Well, he struck and found that intangible piece inside everybody that moved them and move them forward. So I think it's a worthy topic to study what it is about music that connects with people and how we can relate this to business. So the first thing I want to talk about is communication, okay? So communication within an organization. Probably the biggest issue always. It's always been a challenge. Most organizations are excellent at what they do. We make pizzas, jet engines, trucking. They're not excellent at communication. And that is an often overlooked a piece of the whole puzzle, and it makes it probably the most important. And why is that? It's because we don't make it simple. We don't make our communications compelling, and we aren't consistent with our messaging to our people. And I'm going to dive into this a little bit. But first, the first risk is the audience participation. You ready? Are you ready? I was looking at the audience. I said, okay, if this doesn't work, we all go to work earlier, right? Go back to the office. All right. So I'm going to say something, and then I want you to respond loudly. Okay? I'm actually going to sing something. I know it's only rock and roll. How about that? All right, that was good. I want to rock and roll all night. This is good. I even heard from the season table on that one. That was good. There were lips moving. I swear to God there were. And then, of course, Sweet Caroline. How about that? I guarantee you, you play that 300 million times, and 299,999 times, you're going to say, Sweet Caroline, you're going to hear bump, bump, bump. Why is that? Because it's simple, and it's repeated over and over and over again. So communication, we can learn from this in business, right? Let's think about what are the tools we use in business to communicate within your organization. You know, emails and meetings and statements. And let's start with probably the most important and probably the most violated tool, the dreaded mission statement, right? The mission statement, which its basic purpose is very important. It's to define what is our purpose as an organization. It may not be to sell pizzas. It may be something bigger than that. But you define that through a mission statement. The problem with a lot of mission statements is you don't connect with your audience. And I'm going to show you a mission statement. I don't mean to pick on this organization. In fact, I've blocked their names out because they're in the room right now. No, they're not. I'm just kidding. Awkward. That would be awkward. But the content of their mission statement is very noble. And actually, I find some very fascinating parts of it. But here it is. This is a major Fortune 500 company. Here's their mission statement. Let me read it to you, if I can. Belief is the connection of empowering associates to assume responsibilities to be the very best they can be. Believe in someone and show it. And that person will move mountains. I'm only 4 lines into this, okay? What's the problem with this, right? It's too long. Is it meaningful? Absolutely. Does it connect with the audience? No. And I guarantee you go into that organization, Avon, and you will find out, no, I'm just kidding, it's not Avon. I'm kidding again. You go into that organization, you won't find anybody who will be able to repeat that. They may be able to explain in general what the culture of that organization is like, but you've missed a huge opportunity. At Donato's, we have a mission statement is to promote goodwill through our product, service, principles, and people. And we talk about this a lot. We spend every day in every location talking about the mission of the company, examples, telling stories about how our mission comes to life. And it was written actually 20 years after Jim Grody started Donato's. It was even written later just to exemplify and try to capture what the mission of our company was. But I bet you if you went into a Donato's today and asked the 16-year-old at the front counter, what's the mission of your company, you think they'd be able to say that? They wouldn't, as hard as we try. So we took it a step further and said to that person on the front line who is delivering that idea of our mission, let's translate that into something, and we call it the promise. And we spent a lot of time coming up with these 12 letters or whatever it is, or words, but it's to serve the best pizza and make your day a little better. That's my job on the front register. That's my job as the CEO of the company. So creating a simple, what's the difference between that and that? It's huge. I'm sorry, people don't walk around all day thinking about your organization, even the people that work for you. They have their time spent on their families and the fun that they want to have and their retirement and all these things. They're not they have a small sliver left for you. So you better fill that sliver with the appropriate amount of information. And so simplicity is a key part of communications in business. So next, let's talk about consistency. If I click this, will that work? You know who this band is? Guns N' Roses, that's right. Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. I know that because it's repeated 18 times in that song. Literally, I counted it 18 times. And I thought, what is the deal with that? So I find a study, University of Southern California, who studies anything on the left coast, of course, popular culture and music, and they studied 2,500 popular songs in America and said, what is it about these songs that make them popular? And one of the things that they found is that every time you repeat the chorus in a song, you have a 14.5% better chance of becoming number one on the charts. So Guns N' Roses only made it to number 4. So maybe 25 times it might have gotten there, but it might have made us all sick. I don't know. What's the lesson here? Well, one of the things, I spent a large part of my career in marketing, and there's an old adage that just the moment that you get tired of your message is the exact moment that your audience is starting to hear it. And as organizations, how often do we change the message within our organization? We want to tweak this. We want to change the mission statement. We want to rephrase something. That's last year's news. Well, this is next year's news. We change so often, and again, people aren't sitting around waiting for something new to absorb. Consistency and consistency of the communication is critical. Don't change your message. The next is to understand your audience. Who are you talking to? I wanted to know every single person that I was talking to beforehand, but Mike said the database was down, so I didn't have all that information. But are you speaking to 16-year-olds on the front line? Or are you speaking to a leadership team? Or are you speaking to an investor group or the union? So the way you communicate that message has to change. What do they say? 80 to 90% of what you communicate is in how you communicate it, the tone, the energy, the feel. You will miss your audience if you have just one basic approach. Okay, I'm telling you, that is the exact same dance. The left and the right side is the hokey pokey, but it's delivered in a very different style. Know your audience, know your style. Do you want them to hear your message or don't you? We often forget that the role of communication is not to transmit information, but is to create understanding. Have you stopped long enough to understand? Have you created understanding, or are you merely communicating information? So before a song is written, you have to have a basic plan. So let's talk a little bit about songwriting just for a second. Forgive me. And I'm going to talk about popular music, not necessarily jazz, but you have an overarching idea for the song. Is it a love story? Is it a tragedy? Is it a personal story? Is it a commentary on life? What is the basic idea of the song? Then you have a structure for that song. And I'm going to give you a basic structure for a basic popular song. You would start with an introduction, maybe a musical interlude to get you started. A verse that tells a little piece of a story. A second verse that continues the story. A chorus that tells the basic idea of your song. Another verse, a chorus. Remember Guns N' Roses, right? Then a break, a bridge, another verse, and of course the chorus 3, 4, 15, 22 more times. That's a basic song structure. And so for an organization, think of the verse as your initiative, a key initiative. And there might be 5 key initiatives. Those are communicated. Think of the chorus as your mission or your overall values that you will repeat over and over again. And then the last piece I'll come back to, which is the bridge. I skipped over that. Do you know what this reference is, anybody? You ever hear James Brown say, "Take it to the bridge"? He means take it to a certain part of a song. A bridge in a song, and it doesn't exist in every song, but a bridge is a point in the song, usually 2/3 the way into the song or later in the song, where something happens. You've got the melody of the verse goes on and on. You've got the chorus, and then there's a key change or a rhythm change, or there's different instruments that are playing, and it takes you to another place, and then it comes back and finishes the song. Not all songs are like that. Many songs are. When you're in your car driving back to your office or wherever you're going, listen for it and find that key change. The important part about the bridge is an intentional moment of dissonance. It disturbs the concept of the song. It surprises and delights you. It creates emotion. It takes you to another place. These are all intangible things I can't explain very well. Bruce Springsteen can probably explain it better than I can, but it's a point that takes you to a different place. And I think about, for an organization, when running an organization, you have to make sure that you include the bridge. Even very successful organizations that are building their business, they're achieving all of their goals, but is the organization getting complacent? Are they excited about what you're doing? Think about the bridge. What is the bridge that comes into your organization? At Donato's, we do that in the form of celebrations. We have a goofy sense of humor, so we do goofy things to break up what our business is doing. This is a picture we have when Jim Grody built the office over on Taylor Station Road. For some reason, he did not put an elevator in it. We don't know why. So we have a big stairwell, and it's a beautiful stairwell in our lobby. And so we have a lot of our meetings, and sometimes they're last-minute invitations to come to a meeting at the stairwell, stairwell gathering. We might surprise a new franchise partner who walks in the door, and the entire company is standing in the stairwell applauding them because they just signed a deal with us, and we interact with them. We had a meeting when we bought the company back from McDonald's. That took place in the stairwell. I also had a meeting where I announced the very important subject: we're moving to new coffee cups in the break room. And we auctioned off the old coffee cups and gave the money to charity. And everybody showed up because they knew something fun was going to happen. It was part of our bridge. We have something called the Pied Pipers, where myself and a few others might break into a meeting, pull a person out, interrupt that meeting who's done something great, and we play guitar and sing a song to them and hand them a pie. And we walk out and they're bewildered, but we just recognize them in front of everybody, right? PIE stands for the promise is evident. Remember the promise? And then sometimes our CFO will dress up in a suit made of money. I mainly just want to put that in a presentation. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but how often do you get your CFO to wear a suit made of money like that? But what are those things that you do that celebrate, and how do you celebrate with your organization? One of the other things that you do is you celebrate the things that you're doing within the community and celebrate the community partners that you have, and they know that you're a part of that. Spend time thinking about what those things are. You may take it for granted, but your people want to be a part of it. So Donato's song structure takes 4 key tools. And these are just some management tools that I use and we use as an organization. They're not necessarily new, they're borrowed or stolen, but they are made into a cute little logo, which makes them special and it makes them ours. So make or break is the first concept. The make or break for an organization is, and this is a 2-month process with your leadership and the whole organization. What is that one thing that if you can do it better than you're doing today is going to get you to your vision and vision of the future of your organization? You know, yes, there's technology, there's logistics, there's cost control, there's labor, there are all these things that we have to manage with our business, but if you force yourself to say, what is the one thing that if we did it better than we do today is going to get us to the promised land? Force yourself to find out what is that one thing. That's your make or break. Big rocks are all the initiatives that support that one thing. Not all the other things, but that one thing. And I don't know if you know the metaphor of big rocks, but if you take a barrel and you've got big rocks, medium rocks, small sand, you pour in sand, small rocks, you can't fit the big rocks in. The big rocks are a metaphor for the important things. start with the important things. If you put the big rocks in first, pour the rest in, you will fill it up. In fact, in our case, we try to get rid of sand. You know, people want to work on sand. You can even tell them, you don't have to work on sand anymore. I know, but I like to work on sand. I'm good at sand. I'm not so good at the big rocks is a concept of first things first, second things never. First things first, second things never. And the big rocks support the make or break. GHOST is goals, objectives, strategies, and tactics. It's a plan. We have a plan for every big rock. It's on literally one sheet of paper. Connects the goal, the objective, the strategies, and tactics. You're working on too many things, it's not going to fit on that piece of paper. It has to connect to what your goal is. And APE is just a concept that we use all the time around the organization. It stands for alignment, planning, and execution. Alignment, planning, and execution. And what I find is many times, and you'll find this in your personal life, is that people are working on stuff. They got a plan and they're executing, and you say, what are you doing? They go, I don't know, but we're making good time, man. We are going. Well, is it aligned to what we're trying to accomplish? Is it a big rock? Is it something we should be focusing on? It's tough to tell people to stop doing things. Or, on the other hand, we may be aligned. We may know that we've had this issue forever. We just either don't have the courage or the skills to put a plan together to solve that problem. And that's where you're deficient on your A, but you're strong in your A, but you're deficient in your plan and your execution. These are our tools for writing our song at Donato's. So our make or break is our song title. Big rocks are our verse. We have plans for each of them, Gantt charts. We talk on a weekly basis. And of course, our chorus is our mission and promise. Donato's is about a $200 million business. We have two areas. In the last 6 years, we've seen a lot of change. We're dealing with a lot as a premium price pizza in a very cost-driven category during a recession. How'd you like to? That's when Jim said, hey, do you want to be the CEO of Donato's? I said, geez. Of course, I said it can only go up, right? A lot of cost pressures, high discounts. We were reacting tactically. We've incorporated the make or break concept and big rocks to really drive the results, and our customer counts are up, and our associates are more engaged. They feel better about Donato's. Their loyalty is higher. Our franchise partners feel better. Our profits are up. But, you know, we've just scratched the surface on all this. But I guarantee you those pieces really contribute to that moving forward. Moving forward as an organization, we have two growth areas. One is Jane's Dough Foods. Mike alluded to Jane's Dough Foods, which really started as Jim Grody's desire for consistency. He has a disorder. I don't know if it's been announced in the press. He has obsessive compulsive pizza disorder. And he cannot stand when there's inconsistency, never could. Built that into who Donato's is, and built a plant to produce the dough for the store so that it would be consistent, so that we knew you'd have the same great quality. What we have done is turn that into a consumer products division, which has introduced new brands. Our biggest brand is Sonoma Flatbreads, which has a gluten-free line, and also a brand new organic pizza line that we manufacture in our facility. This will be about a $10 million business right now, retail business that just started a couple of years ago, using the core competencies of the organization, consistency and quality moving forward. On the restaurant side, I don't know if anyone has seen, we have, and only half of it's done, but we have started a test of a new expression of Donato's. We rebuilt the store on High Street in the Short North that has a more current expression of the interior. We have new menu items, things like that. This is our Nashville location. Not changing who Donato's is, but just being more current and relevant with the customers today and what they want. Our associates, with new uniforms. They don't have to wear polyester golf shirts with an embroidered logo on it. And they can actually express themselves with their own pop of red. We allow them to add red if it's a bandana or tennis shoes or got suspenders, and they just have fun. It's a way, again, to connect with our people. We have live music in a number of our locations, big surprise. If you think about the power of music and think about some of the things I talked about with communication, simplicity, repetition, knowing your audience, being consistent, you can have an organization that doesn't have to be filled with the top all-star within every area of field of expertise to be a successful organization. It's a very old cliche, but you can make great music together. Let me see if you can sing along with us if you want. Hey Jude. Okay, so that is Paul McCartney and Wings playing Hey Jude. I forget where the concert was, but it was just an unbelievable, I think it was like a 15-minute version of that song because the audience was so connected with it. If you go on YouTube, you can search Linda McCartney, Paul's wife, and you can get an isolated sound of her microphone during that song. And it would sound something like this. I can't take it. Now, I didn't mean to just make fun of Linda McCartney, rest in peace, but the point is, if you are all aligned, if you are focused and everyone is contributing, you can have even a hack band like my band, who has very little talent in it, and you can get people to actually pay you. It's amazing. And by the way, we give all of our money back to charity in the spirit of the Rotary, but you can follow these principles, taking the complex, making it simple, having consistent messaging, connecting with your people, having tools to make sure you're focused, and don't forget to take it to the bridge. And if you do that, you can be an enduring all-star like the Rolling Stones and not a one-hit wonder. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Can you ask a question? Okay. We have time for one or two questions. Yes, on the end.
Do you ever forget the words to a song, and if so, what's the trick to avoid that?
Do you ever forget the words to a song, and what's the trick? Well, the first trick is to make sure everyone drinks what you were passing around earlier in the audience, because they won't know it. Yeah, sometimes I'll actually tape it onto my guitar, the first words to the songs, and I look. If I'm looking down, that's a sign. Any other questions?
One more.
Yes, sir. One more question.
Important element of communication is listening. How do
Yeah.
you institutionalize listening?
No, that's a great point. You know, if you think about music, there are pauses or there are dramatic stops. That is a chance for the audience's mind to catch up and connect, and it brings you closer. And I think that's true with organizational communication. At Donato's, we have roundtables with our managers, so they weigh in on everything that we're doing. We communicate them with surveys, and we just try to be present and ask them what could we be doing better. So I think it's a great question. It's a great question.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Tom, I think you have a hit here. So we thank you for sharing with us. And on behalf of Rotary, let me say as a token of our appreciation, we made a donation to Rotary International in your name.
Oh, thank you very much.
So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.